If you look at an industry from outside and if you say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm in gaming. People will say, wow, how lucky you are. I'm like, oh, I wish you know, right? You met a programmer, you met investors. So, yeah, but then it's a real thing. Business is business. We need money to keep it going. So my name is Antonny LIEM. I'm from Indonesia. So just a quick round. Who's been to Indonesia? Who knows? Oh, obviously you know, it's just south from here. Who's investors here, actually? Everybody's investors? Or just one investor? So the rest will be like... try to find a in between. Anyhow, I would like to have this session to be more like a fluid discussion session. It's named Southeast Asia, but my company, well, we'll talk about it a bit later, is more focused on Indonesia. And why is that now? But a lot of things here that we will discuss. I spent quite a bit on Indonesian market, but then some of those in other countries. If you have any ideas, any suggestions, you could just chip in, all right? First, just a quick introduction of myself. And that's me. If anybody plays Nintendo, that's my wife creating the me. I'm 36 years old. I need to put the age sometimes because sometimes people think, are you like 50 or are you like 20? So I'm 36 years old. Used to be a hardcore gamer, play a lot of games. I have all the consoles. I have the PC. But then as you grow old, as usual, right? As you grow out of time, then you suddenly become casual. But then you play a lot of casual games and you become like hardcore casual gamers, if there's such a thing, right? FPS, I'm still hardcore. I finished all the, Mass Effect, all these things. My background is actually from IT. I used to work for Fujitsu. I used to work for a lot of IT company long time ago, and then I moved to advertising business, marketing and stuff like that, right? I got tired of IT and moved to advertising, and then digital advertising grew up, and then I back to digital advertising, and now a lot of things that we do is actually investing in IT, especially in digital, including games in Indonesia. So I'm the CEO of Merah Putih Incubator. We are the first incubator investor in Indonesia. We started 3 years ago. It's quite new. The scene is new, but we are one of the most active in the country. And then I am not a professional speaker of conference meetings. I don't, go around conferences. I get paid on conferences. I have my day job, believe it or not. So, so the things. That's why let's do this as a discussion instead of only a, one-way conversation. Why do we start off, why do we start off Merah Putih was because we tried this. We had an annual event in Indonesia which is called Sparks Up. It is a competition for local startups. It's been 3 years now. A lot of participation from GRI, a lot of participation from Google, Microsoft. PopCap was one of our speakers and sponsors last year. When we started this off 3 years ago, we just want to see the market. We want to see, does Indonesia have any talent? And then the first time we did it, we got like 300 plus participants, a lot of talents, gaming being one of the categories as well. So we were surprised. All of these good ideas, but not many good business inside. So they are people who have idea and project, but they know how to make it a real business, make money again. So we think that we have to do something. We have to set up a business that actually can help these new startups to become industry. That's why we set up Merah Putih. Any of you speak Indonesian will know Merah Putih or Malay. Merah means red, Putih means white, which is red and white, which is our flag, of Indonesian flag. A lot of people ask me, how can you get that name as a company name? How can you get the URL? Because we got merahputih.co.id, which is a national flag, but we were lucky enough. At the same time, we are very burdened because we want this name we chose because we want to make sure Indonesia, not just a consumption market, but also a production market, using this creative industry to be one of our economic pillars. So we started this off 3 years ago. We focus on 4 sectors: social, e-commerce, game, and mobile. And those are some of the investments that we've made so far. Daily Social, if you're interested in Indonesian tech scenes, you have to go to Daily Social. It's like our version of TechCrunch. They're leading everything there. Startup, technology, games is there. Kaskus is the largest Indonesian community portal. If you're from Malaysia, they have Lawyat here, you have Hardware Zone. But Kaskus is even bigger, like 30 million kind of unique IPs. So it's huge. It's our largest investment so far. Lintas.me is another social platform for us. It's an aggregator, curator for news. Bololog is for football and futsal. Guava Games. We have one tiny investment in games we started last year. I should say that it has not took off yet. They are still developing, they're still seeing what they can do. So we'll talk about why later in the slides. InfoCost, Crazy Market is, I'm wearing t-shirts, is our marketplace e-commerce. And then MindTalk is our newest hot platform for social media, which we hope can go global. If you haven't seen MindTalk, go check it out if you like the Southeast Asian scenes. All right, I think that's all about what I can say about myself. Enough selling. I'm not really selling, but why are we here? Why are you here? Why is Casual Connect in here? Why are you guys here? Anybody have any ideas? Why are you in this room? This room is packed. Some people are standing. Thank you. I was like, I didn't expect that many people in this session, actually. Yeah. So why are we here? First, we are too big to ignore. Southeast Asia. I mean, every time we talk about Asia, I was, watching Russell Peters. You know Russell Peters? Anybody knows Russell Peters? He was in Indonesia just last week, right? Full pack like this. Everybody's standing. He's a big comedian. I always joke about Asians. Like nobody really knows Asians. You talk about Asians, you think every Asian is Chinese. You talk about Asia, you think Southeast Asia. You thought it's no. Southeast Asia is 11 countries, excluding India, excluding China, excluding Japan, excluding Korea. I mean, if we put those big countries into our whatever chart, they're off the chart. So we just said, okay, let's put them aside. So Southeast Asia itself is actually 11 countries in total of 605 million populations and growing, right? Indonesia is one of the largest country in South, it is the largest country in Southeast Asia and one of the largest country in the world. I think the 6th or the 5th one. Okay, we are too big to ignore. That's one. And then here's where the growth are. I mean, this is the GDP per capita. If you look at those long numbers below, if you can see, this Singapore and Brunei, tiny country, but very rich country. So, the income per capita is huge. Singaporean makes, according to this, like 50,000 plus, which is very huge. But if you look at all the rest, it's still small, but they're actually larger countries compared to Singapore and Brunei. So if you look at those small countries can make that much, that means the bigger countries with more population that could actually still have room for growth. Might not be that big because, again, the way you count this is you have to, divide it by the population, but the growth is here. And then internet, the population is huge as well, 150-something million in the region. You can see that, again, Indonesia being the largest country, obviously have 55 million plus internet population, and the rest is scattered. Philippines and Vietnam, Thailand, so the smaller number, Singaporean obviously is a small country, so the number is small, but the penetration is high. Penetration is there. Internet penetration is still below the potential. What do I mean? If you look at the states, if you look at the internet population usually goes beyond 50%, but the rest is still below 20%, right? The sum of 30%. I believe that some studies say that for the internet economy to actually boom, to start to boom, you have to have that sweet spot of 30% plus internet penetration in a country. So there's still a lot of potential in Southeast Asia because some of these countries are still below 30%. So it's still growing. And we are definitely online. This is weekly spend hour, people going online. You can see 25 hours of Singaporean is the longest people spend online here. But I think online has become a jargon. We are always online constantly without you realizing it through your mobile and everything, right? So, but it shows that we are definitely, and not only that, we are definitely social. Facebook is huge in this region. Everybody is on Facebook, kind of. Indonesia used to be number 2 on Facebook. So now we are number 6. Probably we got bored of it, or people, or other countries catching up. But the population here of Facebook users is around 100 million plus. If you take it to gaming context or social gaming context, I think the study says 40% to 50% of the Facebook population plays the social game. So divide that by 2, and you get the huge numbers of players as well online. This is like if you compare the internet penetration versus the Facebook penetration. So in some countries, actually, the internet penetration is not as high as the Facebook penetration. So it means that people going online, for example, in Indonesia, you have 22% internet population, but you have a 70+% Facebook. So almost 80% of the people online in Indonesia goes to Facebook and use Facebook, right? So everybody all is on Facebook, still on Facebook. And then this is another global thing. Online and mobile is definitely growing in the game sector. It's going to be pushing 50% of the revenue that's predicted in 2015. So it is growing, right? In Indonesia, it's huge. Sorry, in Southeast Asia, online is also good. Big. Asia will be the key driver of that growth. If you look at the dark blue, and that's Asia. That's where the key driver of this whole game industry. Okay. So let's recap. Why are we here? We have 11 countries, 600 plus people. We have 157 internet populations, Facebook, etc. According to a survey by Nico Partners, they say that we have around 50 million casual gamers. That's what you're going to find in Asia, here in Southeast Asia. If you've been playing here for quite a while, you understand that the stats, tell you what, it's kind of hard to grasp. Some people will say this, some people will say that. Everybody has their own kind of like studies. So it's roughly, we're going to sell like 50 million, grow to 100 million with 1 billion revenue. So this is why are we here, right? So why are we here actually? We are here because we smell gold, right? We are all here because we're smelling gold. But it's so early. It's just like, it's always like that, even in internet. Games is the ultimate, you know. We know all the potential there. We know the market is huge. We look at it, we smell gold. There must be something there. So let's get on there before it's too late, before it became China, before it became India, for example, before it's become too expensive to get in. But it's still a gold rush and it's still a wild, wild west, tell you the truth, right? It's not that easy. It's not just like somebody you can sign and then you just get a number and get a investment. No, it's really not that simple because what Southeast Asia we are very complex. You know, you can see this. But I think this is in India, right? I see you smiling. I believe this is India, but in Indonesia, in some areas, you will find this kind of a mangled mess as well. Southeast Asia, we have so many languages. Not only talking about the country's languages, the dialects and everything, tons of them. We have so many culture, we have so many religions, different. So you cannot attack Southeast Asia as one way to do it, to invest. No, you have to go country per country to understand them. Culture and religion play a lot of role in gaming, as you know, because gaming is close to emotions. There has been times, like in Vietnam, the game got banned because of, you know, it's too violent. In Indonesia, one game got banned because it offended a certain culture group. So they have to revamp the game. So that is also one thing you have to think about when you invest in something. The game might be too sexy and it's good because sex sells probably, but in Southeast Asia, a lot of countries, that might not do well. So that is one thing. Religion, I talk about. Ethnicity, 500 plus ethnics here. So it's all different. They all speak English, good. It's a good thing. Southeast Asia is very open. Because of this mixture, Southeast Asia is very open for new things. English, if you speak English, if you're from Western, they're open to adapt new cultures because they use or mix stuff. Economy, like I said, I show you, right? It's different. It really depends on where you put your money in, and you have to really tailor that into your calculation as well. Different economy, different technology. Resources is very hard to get. You go to this country, then it's hard to find a certain type of technology, infrastructure, software that you need. You know, you go to other country, we'll talk about that later. So this is different. You have to take that into your things as well. Lifestyle. Which country spends more time mobile? Which country spends more time doing indoor things? Which country have more options in the entertainment? So you have to understand that as well. Politics, the governments, right? It's an emerging market, it's an emerging country. So a lot of things are happening in politics. A lot of things is new. In some countries like Myanmar and Laos, they still have a lot of things going on there. You have to think about it, and regulation as well. As an investor, definitely you want to protect your investment. You want to make sure that everything is legal. You want to make sure you can enter the country market correctly. But usually there are so many different. It's not as easy as the developed market at all. So these are the things, really not that simple. So after this, I'll talk a bit about each country, but then I'll end up with a bit more of Indonesian gaming. So feel free to add information if you want, because it's going to be quite simple. I will call Singapore, I believe Singapore, where the host of event is the hub. They've always been the hub. That is the vision of the country, and they've done a very good job in being the hub. I mean, if you're an investor, you will know that it'll be very easy to set up a company here. It's quite beneficial tax-wise to actually start a company here, right? In investment part. If you have to set up regional office, it's very good to be here because then you're literally 30 minutes to the rest of the world. Well, 30 minutes to Changi, and then you have to fly. But then it's really easy to go across the region, right? So it's safe, easy to live. If I constantly ask my foreign friends who decided to move here, how's Singapore so far? Easy to live, good to live. So in game as well, I mean, they have a government support, it has association support. Now Casual Connect is starting to be here. We have all the resources, all the technology, all the programmers. So it's good. It's being a very good hub. But I think the market is too small. Right? It's like 4 or 5 million people. 25% are foreigners. So you have to really understand, if you want to sell a product to Singapore, then the traction might not be there. So you need to do regionally. But at the same time, a lot of games, a lot of technology that is being found in Singapore is very tailored to Singaporean. Singaporean is not really Asians as well, because the education level, they got the economy level, they got the English speaking, and the lifestyle is different. So you can't really look at Singaporean and say, okay, I understand Southeast Asian now. So that's very dangerous as well. Okay, but they're a very good hub. Malaysia, I call it the professor. Malaysia, I met some of in the game industry players just this morning actually, and asked them, how is the game industry in Malaysia? And I said, it's not really existent. I said, really? I thought, are we the same? No, you guys are better, they said. I said, really? Because why? They have MOL, which is they bought Friendster, the most famous Friendster acquisition, and then sold some IP to Facebook, etc. But then they changed Friendster into a social game platform, and MOL also it become a huge payment system there. So I thought ecosystem must be there, right? They have a huge platform, they have a good payment system. But then what they complain about is, as usual, across Southeast Asia is almost the same. There's just no local IPs, no local product that get traction into local market. That is almost the same across Southeast Asia, except for one country that we're going to talk about later. Next is Thailand. If anybody's from Malaysia, anybody's from Thailand, Singapore want to add something or just want to correct me, please go ahead, because this is based on my personal view. Thailand is the prince, simple because Thailand is always unique. I think a lot of games there are from China, Korea. A lot of games is about beautifying as well, the top up and everything. So they actually spend, based on the recent report, Thailand has the highest ARPU in the region. They might not have the largest numbers of players, but they have the largest ARPU. That's according to Nico Partners. So they are like the prince. They're not really yelling, or they're not really doing much in terms of exporting games, because it also have a unique culture and unique language, just like Vietnam or Korea or Japan. But they also consume a lot localization games. Indonesia is, as you know, the hotspot. We'll talk about Indonesia later. But right now, Indonesia, everybody look at Indonesia because we've been growing steadily in terms of economy for the past 3 years, where the region is actually slowing down. We're still growing up. Now the Western Hemisphere having some economic problem, but we are still growing up. So people look at it, political stability and everything. The middle class is growing. So people think like, okay, this is the hotspot. We need to do something there. So in gaming as well. Again, it's a gold rush. You want to do something, you look at other developed countries and you think we're going to follow the same pattern. Is it true or not? We'll talk about it later. This is the country that I talk about, Vietnam. Vietnam is always interesting. Vietnam has smaller GDP, per capita and everything, but they are very inward. They are controlled heavily, regulated heavily by the government. But then the game company there makes a lot of money, makes a lot of money. More money, I think, compared to any game company in the region. They got invested hugely by venture capital, and then they grew. I'm talking about VNG. Facebook is not really in there because Facebook is banned. So around 10% of penetration, but they have their own Zing, which is their own Facebook. So Vietnam is the rising star. So people come, usually if people come, they look at Indonesia, they look at Vietnam, they look at Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. So usually Vietnam, even though it's a bit off, but it's also the good rising star. Vietnam. Vietnam is, again, I'm always baffled. I'm always talk to my fellow investors in Vietnam. I ask them, how do you guys, manage to actually create a good internet economy, especially in game? They say, well, they always say that we are the same level with Indonesia in terms of infrastructure. I said, no, because what? They have like 30% internet penetration, but like 90% broadband penetration. Indonesia have like 10, 12%. So their broadband penetration is much higher. And then I think Vietnamese, they are more inward. They like their local product because they like, the language is different, the writings are different. So whatever they create, they consume inward. I don't think that's so much about nationality. It's more like it's there, right? They have not much choice compared to other countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. We have so many choices. We can, we have Facebook. We can access Facebook instead of our own. Whatever things we do here will be compared to whatever there from the Western Hemisphere, the games, everything. So we have more choices. And then I ask my Vietnamese friends, I say, we don't have much place to go actually. If you've been to Jakarta, you know Jakarta is just like Singapore. It's a city of malls, right? It's mall to mall and to mall and to mall. So in weekends, you go out, and we play in Indonesia, internet player, on weekends, our visit drops. Long holiday, drop. So people access usually from the offices or from the internet cafes. In Vietnam, it's internet cafes, right? So they're crazy on games. VNG games, they make millions. They make the most so far that I know of. So it's crazy. Yeah. So Vietnam, and people are still, you know, like that. Motorcycle. So what's the plan? You know, all this. So this is where I start talk a bit about Indonesia, right? Because I'm not really investing outside of Indonesia. Those are my few of those countries based on my experience and my network. So we go to Indonesia. Why Indonesia? Again, because we are the largest country. We are Southeast Asia, 250 million people, according to our latest census. It's a big growing medium class economy, because the economy, if the medium class goes up, then they are the new people with the new spending power. They spend a lot of money. We are very active online. Like I said, we used to be number 2 on Facebook, number 2 on Twitter. Right now, we are number 6 on Facebook, number 5 on Twitter, a bit going down. But we capture technology really fast. We are one of the largest BlackBerry users in the region. I mean, everybody uses BlackBerry. If you're from US or Western, BlackBerry is for business. We use it for lifestyle. We use it for chat. You know, we chat with each other and everything. So we grab on new technology really fast, user of new technology. The game industry has been always struggled with piracy. Well, the internet industry, the technology is always struggled with piracy, but especially games. We have been an avid gamer since a long time ago on console, on PC, but it's always pirated. But now with the growth of, you know, social media, internet technology, mobile, tablet, iOS, people start buying. So it's a good sign, right? And then last year we saw a real growth in game industry. We'll talk about it later. So this is just a quick overview of you know, of what is the scene in Indonesia. These are some major publishers. We have a lot of major publishers, but a lot of them actually, I would say, like importer of games from China or Korea. They localize it and they sell online games, you know. So they do that. They make lots of money out of it. And then we have game studios. I think we have more game studios than here, but these are some of the players, and they're only like 3 to 4 to 5, well, probably less than 5 major game studio right now, and they don't have any strong IP or very strong traction yet, actually. Some of them goes way back, like Artemid goes back to 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them are newer games, and then we do have payment gateway already. So you see the ecosystem there. And then we have investors on the ground. Even investors like greed investors like cyber agents are on the ground in the field right now. So if you see, we have actually quite a nice ecosystem in tech. We have the publishers, we have the studios, we have the payment gateway, which is, you know, people always say, how do you monetize? For payment gateway, we have to add, you might ask a question, what about mobile payment? We have 11 operators, like 3 or 4 major ones with 200 million numbers. They always have their e-wallet. But our operator, unfortunately, still charge 60% off the money that you make. So that is huge compared to, you know, like Japan or any other market. That's why they're not really taking off, even though you know, they wanted to do something about it. I heard that this year they came to their senses and they're gonna do something. So we look forward for the payment to be even easier. Excluding this, because it's like a payment voucher, but the banks are starting to do that because e-commerce is also growing in Indonesia. So a lot of this payment system, payment gateway are coming up this year. So it's also good for your monetization, right? Any questions so far for this one? No? Oh, we got a Q&A later in the end. Yeah. Okay, so this is the example of one of the earliest online game that took off. It's Ragnarok. Right? It's localized, and then a lot of people play it. This was, at that time, I think it attracted a lot of younger kids. They play it in the PC. That was back in the era where tablet or mobile is not just taking off yet. And then Lito is actually currently the according to my networks, according to us, is the only publishers that's making huge amount of money. But they don't sell casual games. They are focusing on, you know, all this more hardcore gaming, online hardcore gamers. They do FPS and everything. So they do things like this. This is one of the newest game, anime, Fighter Online. They do Crossfire, FPS, first-person shooter. FPS is huge in Indonesia. Counter-Strike used to be the thing because it's free. And then it's on Warnet. Warnet is an internet cafe. So everybody used to play Counter-Strike all the time. That was like 5 years ago. But now in Indonesia, everybody's playing point blank. So internet cafe plays a strong role if you want to invest in games in Indonesia. I think it's the same with Vietnam. Whatever games that the gamers there are playing, whatever games the owners are installing, that will be the game who take off, like Point Blank. And Point Blank is actually a money-making game because Lito makes lots of money out of it. They buy guns, they buy upgrades, they buy everything. So this is the single 60% owning the revenue right now in Indonesia. They have, yep. No, I think it's Korean game. We don't have any Indonesian big games. Not yet, yeah. This is a Korean game. Dota was huge, still huge. Diablo 3 is coming up, right? So I think that's going to be, it's already out there, I know. I mean, Indonesia is coming up. Start seeing the traction, you know. Those kind of things you cannot pilot. You have to buy. So that's the beauty of it, right? So yeah, it's coming up. You playing it? Not yet, you're here. Good answer. Yeah. But it's very interesting. But this is used to be, you know, World of Warcraft, and then this Dota battles. This is huge as well. And there's this game, IO Dance. IO Dance is also interesting because this is where the people, it's like a dancing game where you just follow the cursor and there's a music and your character will dance along with it. But then the monetization was that you can buy shirts, you can buy accessories, accessorize your character. And this become huge things, lots of events, a lot of this kind of thing. So I'm showing this because these are the games that actually been there and actually making real money. But they are quite different from casual games. They are quite different from the entry point because they are, those players that I show, Lito, the publishers, they are not really, you know, going around with us. Their mindset is more like I'm a game distributor, or they don't think much about the development. They think much like, I'll find an IP, I'll import it, I'll localize it and distribute it, set up the payment, set up the marketing, everything. A lot of them do a lot of events, competitions, communities, everything. It's very, I should say, matured. And again, Internet Cafe plays a vital role in it. I think we have like 26,000, 30,000 Internet cafes, and most people are still accessing from Internet cafes. Office workers, usually the older guys, the casual gamer players, they don't play IO Dance. They don't play Point Blank, I don't think, right? We don't have time, and we can't play Point Blank in the office. Maybe Diablo. I don't know. Yeah, but we play more casual games, all right? Questions? This page is left intentionally blank. So it started off, if we back to casual or online social game, it started off with this game at the time, Mafia Wars. It took people by surprise in Indonesia. A lot of people are so hardcore and spend lots of money, thousands of dollars on it just to build their clans, go around. So that was, that was the original game that actually surprised us. And then obviously Farmfield came over, and then everybody, well, the girls, the ladies, are jumping on Farmfield. Everybody start their farm. So we jump, again, Indonesia is a very trendy country. We jump over whatever trend is it. So when Farmfield came out, it became a trend, everybody started to do. And if your friend, Indonesia is a very community country. If your friend used something and they ask you, have you played this, have you used this? Eventually you will, okay lah, I will play that as well. So Farmfield came along with all, and then Travian is an online game. It's online, it's huge as well in Indonesia. A bit different, it's online, right? It's not really on Facebook, but Farmfield people play on Facebook. And then all the Zynga Viol come over, the new one. But based on what I asked my payment gateway friends, the money-making one is actually, can you guess? What is the real money-making one for the social game in Indonesia? Is this, poker. Yeah. I think in a way, again, it's culturally, it's gambling is not legal, culturally not correct, illegal and everything. So you find an exit. You find an exit on the game, right? You play it, yeah. You buy the chips, you buy the cards, and you actually top up. So this is money making for our payment system friends. Yeah. So to show you quick some of the game portal. This Gamesco ID is the largest portal game. They claim to be the largest game portal, online game portal so far. Flash games, they download everything. Then we again, social platform like what we have, this is one of our social platform, Lintas of Me, is also moving on to that area, social platform out of Facebook. Facebook is huge, right? But there's no other choices, but people still go to other social platforms. So these social platforms are now, at least our assets, we start to open platform for games, game aggregating, game publishing. So we start to do that with this, with MyTalk, yeah. We have MatchMove, just signed with one of our largest internet provider as well. So, you know, big traditional, they are there. Indomok now. Indomok is the largest payment gateway in Indonesia. They've been struggling. They come from a big group, so they can invest, but they haven't really made money for quite some time. Until last year, they start to make good money. See Diablo, they sell Diablo there. It's quite new screenshot. They handle everybody, but what really makes money at that time, last year for them, was when they signed with Zynga. Once they become the exclusive Zynga partners in Indonesia, because of the popularity of Zynga games and poker and everything, it took off. And so, you know, they started to make real money. What is very heavy for them is actually investment in logistics and distributions, you know, creating all the cards and everything. So they do a lot of these distribution points through the stores, to campus. You know, this is what the investment are. So in Indonesia and a lot of places, if you talk about payment, it's not really seamless online payment. Like I told you about mobile payment, it's non-existent. It's there, but nobody's going to use it. The merchant won't use it. The game product won't use it. The card is too big, right? But then if you talk about credit card penetration is not that high, right? So a lot of gamers will actually use these things. You can do online on their site, but physically you can go to a store, any convenience store, and actually buy and top up your cards as well. So this is how we do it. All right. Indonesians are definitely mobile. Well, these are not Indonesians. I think I heard some. This will keep you awake. Yeah. Well, we are definitely mobile. This is according to Nielsen reports. What's so funny about that? Why? I mean, if I come up, yeah. So Android especially is gaining a lot of momentum. I mean, I like elsewhere. Samsung in Indonesia is the Samsung Galaxy Note. We call it G Note somewhat. It's surprisingly popular, right? And then the Tab, and then even the Android phones in the feature phones, in the local phones, we have some local brands as well. Android is gaining momentum. We'll talk about number one smartphone is still BlackBerry. Not for gaming, I know, but people use it a lot for chatting. BlackBerry just introduced a new gaming platform and the Playbook, which is also quite popular, right? So we have the BlackBerry, and then iOS is so small, iPhone. And the rest will be Nokia and the feature phone and then Android phones. So it's huge there. The price is going down. Even there will be like $150 less kind of Android phones soon coming up. So we'll see that smartphone, the blur between smartphone, not so smartphone, or very smartphone is going to blur, you know. And then what do people use in Indonesia, if it is comparison, is mostly Facebook still, right? People use Facebook. It is as funny as we do some survey, because we in our group we own advertising companies as well. We do some surveys in the outside of Jakarta and ask them, do you have mobile phone that is connected to the internet? And they will say no. Do you use Facebook on your mobile? Yes. So they don't really understand that actually going to Facebook is internet, right? So it's that big. But you see, there's not much mobile social game yet, right? So is there any strong mobile players? Can anybody guess in Indonesia at least? There's one actually. It's called MiG-33. MiG-33 surprisingly has 30 million plus registered users. Roughly around, well, Chris is here, ex-MiG, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, but 35 million users. I don't think, I asked the people, I don't think they have any other country in Southeast Asia with good traction for MiG. The other country will be like Saudi, or not Saudi, like Arab, more the eastern part, right? Yeah, Middle East and Africa, yes. So Southeast Asia is Indonesia is the far largest, but they're more catered for the feature phone. They're more catered for the lower income, but they're very loyal. Used to be using it for chat. They couldn't afford BlackBerry. They couldn't afford the other thing, so they use MiG for chat. Create chat rooms just like MRSC. They created they're so big that they created their own game, right, Chris? They create the kick people out of chat rooms, and they make it a game at a time. Seriously, they make it a game and they monetize on it. the people, they could. You want to kick somebody and there's rally some few friends and kick that guy out. So it's funny. But now they are working with Greed. They have opened up the API last year, so they started to have more games. Like they started to introduce games in it. This is some of the example of the game. Well, it is, web-based. It's on their platform, so it's yet to see how they really monetize, because it's a lower income people, the bracket. Indonesian mobile ARPU is around $3 to $4 for mobile, so that is quite thin. And we are like 95, 96% prepaid, just like a lot of countries in Southeast Asia, the emerging markets. So in that thin market, but still mobile is huge, especially for Indonesia. We are not a very rich country, even though we have like almost 4,000 kind of GDP per capita, but with 250 million people, we will still have like 200 million people who are actually quite not really economically rich, right? But they actually they rather spend on mobile and cigarette compared to eating. So they'll eat once a day, but they'll spare their money for mobile. So that's how big mobile is. And mobile prepaid, they also use mobile actually to chat, SMS, and calls, and MiG-33 perhaps. So there's also huge potential, untapped potential that we can look at here. Okay, now from the lower market, we move to the upper market, which is the tablet, right? We still talk about mobile. This is like a screenshot I took. If you look at it, this is top free iPad apps, like 73%, top 30 are games. 9 out of the top 10 are games, right? Puzzle, actions, RPGs. This is on iPad. This is from Indonesia, right? So the top games there. Sadly, none from Indonesian developers. It's all foreigners. Draw something is big. Again, your friend play it, then your friend's playing it, 3 of your friends playing it, they call asking you, why did you play it? Suddenly everybody's playing it. That's Indonesians. Right? And then people got bored of it, and you haven't played mine, I got bored. So it's like, So you have to be careful in Indonesia, because it's very trend related. But we do pay for apps. See, Angry Birds is huge, it's always big for iOS people. Now with the Android, it's huge. Instagram is gigantic. It's not game, but it's gigantic in Indonesia. So it's always interesting. So we do pay. Slightly different, but it's still 70%, 8 out of 10. We still buy games, right? Yeah. So this is show some local game studios I talk about. Agate Studios is one of our largest game studios in terms of people, in terms of productivity, in terms of they have Facebook games, they have apps, they have across games. But still, I think a lot of game studios in Indonesia do a cross between outsourcing, a cross between advertising, making things for brands, like you have a brands giving you projects to create games and create their own IPs. IP is very hard in Indonesia, because if you don't have traction, then there's no use of creating an IP. IP will not live without any traction or any awareness, any marketing, right? So this is one of our interesting game studios. The other one is Toge. I think they are here as well. Any Toge people here? Toge is near and dear to Casual Connect, I think, because their games are well known. They are the so-called the unique guys, because they always create the anti-hero. Their hero is always the villain. The zombie is the hero, for example. And I told you about a game who got banned. They have to revamp it because the hero was a Nazi at the time. So they they like to use the character, play spin on it, and they are very action-driven, shooting, gore. So they have a big traction as well, not just locally. For Indonesia as well, I think Southeast Asia, if you want to have a real market, you have to go global. Your product has to be regional or global, because Western Hemisphere will buy it. You might, at least at the moment. Local people, again, except for Vietnam, if they have any choices, they will choose for the global one, unless your game is really, really good, right? Yeah. Or sometimes you might disguise yourself as a foreign company, create a game, and as if you're a foreign company entering a market, even though it's a local company. And then Nightspace. Nightspace is a winner of Sparks Up. Remember the Sparks Up Award, our annual startup award. They are focusing on iOS games, tablet, iPad, and iPhone, and iPod. Yeah. So they have do a lot of education games for kids. So they are also very interesting. And investments are actually happening. Believe it or not, investments are actually happening. I'm not talking about M&A. I'm not talking about acquisition. I'm talking about investments. So it's like seed investments, early stage investments. Some of the known ones are like this. Some of the, if you know East Ventures is one of the VCs, Project Eden is one other VC there, idea source. They invested in some of these, studios. Nightspace, soybeans of Tashkent, Kark. Kark is actually based in Singapore. Is anybody from Kark or anybody knows Kark? Kark is quite interesting because they education games and they're aiming for a global market. Again, a lot of these investments, the studios, they create games, products that they will aim for the global market instead of just local market because they think that's where the money will be. So investments are happening. So you talk about, the potentials are there, the ecosystems are there, the markets are there in terms of size. I'm not talking about in terms of traction, but in terms of size. And investments are happening. But you have to, if you're an investor, right, you have to still expect all the herd troubles, finding, this is in Southeast Asia, finding the right market, the right category, right, finding the right partners, founders, which is even harder because a lot of there are game communities here and there. I think a lot of us kind of like thinking, like I said in the early, gaming is gaming, but it's still a business, right? You have to find a person with a mix between creativity and business acumen. So, you'll meet people, the successful game people will usually be quite unique because they still have that playfulness. Well, not always, but, at least the successful will have that business acumen. And it's hard to find. As investors, sometimes you look at, they create a good product, but then they're too idealistic, for example. So that is also hard to find. Product, what kind of product will work? And then, obviously, if you're investor, you talk about valuations. How much? How do you value a new game studio? How do you value, how do you value it's so new? I've seen some proposals from studios who is actually just have 2 products going out, quite good traction, but no money. Traction means downloads, right, in the app stores, but not much money, asking for investment of X so the valuation is like 5 million plus, and this local game studio is like, probably for some of you 5 million is small, but in Indonesia that means a lot, right? Anywhere in Indonesia it means a lot, right? $5 million. So yeah, so it's always about that. And then terms, are you going to do, what kind of terms are you going to get in as investors? Legal aspects. In Indonesia, if you want to set up a company, and you say, what are you? I'm a game company. There's no such thing as a game company to register. You cannot register yourself as a game company. You have to register yourself as an IT company. Even e-commerce. I mean, e-commerce started last year, and when we started an e-commerce company, we asked the government, right, how do we register? We're an e-commerce company. We don't have e-commerce registration. So we can't set up a company, so we become IT consultant company. So that is a legal thing. Tax, Indonesian tax, Malaysian tax, Singaporean tax. Singapore is good in terms of no capital gain, but they have a huge tax in terms of, VAT, GST, service tax, everything. So it all vice versa. Indonesia's capital gain tax. Anybody has a clue? This is gonna kill any interest of you investing in Indonesia, I think. But it's okay. It's 30%. 30%. So if you invest 1 million and you make 10 million, you have to pay 2.7 million to the government. Hence, a lot of companies actually opening companies in Singapore as their fund source as well. Setting up a team is not easy, and then of course build the business along the way because games have a long life cycle. You have to keep investing and then exit. What is the exit? What are the exits? A lot of exits will be about what? M&A, right? I mean, the only exits nowadays will be M&A. You can't expect a Zynga. I mean, Zynga IPO is not that. Even Facebook IPO, Facebook a bit going down. I think the stocks today is like $33 or $34. So IPO is far, but M&A is there, right? The big game companies from Japan, Korea, probably China, the US might want to buy. So that could be a probable exit. So you have to think about that. Regulatory challenges that I told you about, a lot of things that you have to really think, not just in Indonesia, a lot of things in each of these Southeast Asian countries. They're emerging markets. They're new things. Game is a new thing. Some people some government look at game as, it could be a child thing, or they could look at game as more like a illegal gaming, like casino and all of that. So it's really the challenges that's there. Investment challenges, like, how big amount of investment you need to put in. For Indonesia, if you're a foreign company, if you're a foreign investor, you need to put in at least 1.5 million US dollar, according to the law. But as is any country in Southeast Asia, maybe except for Singapore or Malaysia, or maybe except for Singapore, most countries in Southeast Asia, there's a law, there's a regulation, and this is the way out. So there's always a way out. That's the beauty of it, right? So what is the conclusion? I think my conclusion will be it's a young market, right? It's a young market casual game. Challenges exist. It's still a wild, wild west, right? It's still a wild, wild west. Local IP might not be that easy to build. because the global IP is much bigger, much stronger. A game is a lot about marketing. You have to have a lot of marketing effort, a lot of branding effort. So that kind of things usually the local players don't have. Huge opportunity in mobile, like I showed. Mobile internet is growing much faster than the the PC internet. Even in Indonesia, we skip tablet altogether. We skip notebook. We jump into mobile internet. Well, the small device. Localization is a good. Localization of the game will be a good opportunity. If you have a big IP already, you could do a localization of it. Events management could be a good if you have a social game. Because, I believe if you create a local content of a big game, for example, if you create Angry Birds, they did that, Angry Birds China, right? If they created Angry Birds Indonesia with whatever, it'll huge traction because people talk about it, people play about it. Events will be if you're a Farmville or you're Cityville, then you create a local playground, you create Jakarta scenes, that kind of thing will be crazy. Digital advertising is still growing market in Southeast Asia. It's still small compared to a lot of countries. Malaysia is quite strong, Singapore is quite strong, but the rest is not that big. So it's just a growing space for using game as an advertising method. So it's still growing. You need to find a good local partner. If you're not local, if you're not that in the market, if you're not in the country, you need to find a good first-tier partner over there who can help you take care, look over that investments. Because it's very new market. You don't want to do it remotely, and you can't do it remotely. Look for a longer time horizon in return. Be prepared for a marathon, not a sprint. You have to really think about, don't talk about exit, but think about how do we build it, right? And then help the ecosystem. Help the ecosystem means if you have any technology, if you have any, any know-how, any IP that we can translate, put it there. Some of the big players that is going there, like for example, Ameba Pico, Ameba Pic, right, from Pico from Japan, cyber agent. They have 1 million, they say, they have 1 million Indonesian player already. So that attracts their eyes and they think, maybe we should start localizing it and enter Indonesian market, right? So that kind of things could be interesting as an opportunity for investors because we have a lot of talent. Southeast Asia in general, I think a lot of talents, but we need helps in terms of market size, in terms of tractions, in terms of how to and networking. So I think these are 10 points that I think we could conclude from what my research and my experience. If feel free to add more. So happy digging. It's a wild west. You don't want to get in until they after they set up the company. You want to get in while it's still raw and still cheap, right? So happy digging. Thank you very much.
And you want more questions?
Yeah. So your question was like how much of a marketing budget typically for a game to actually reach a critical mass, right? Based on my experience. So like I said, the standard question would be, of course, it varies between games, varies between countries. But as you know, I said in our larger group, actually, we own two advertising agencies and one media agency. So if you look at any internet or any product that want to spend constantly and get a critical mass, if Indonesia's standpoint, I don't know about other country, but if Indonesia, you will need at least like $1 to $2 million per year kind of online advertising. That's excluding the offline advertising. For game, I think offline is also a key event where you have to work together with parties, create communities, events, sponsor this and sponsor that to actually get attraction. But in a way, a lot of our big games, well, if you take Point Blank, they work together directly events with the internet cafes. So that is more cost effective. So it's not that expensive. Or you can utilize a social platform and create the new one, Facebook and everything. So you don't have to really spend on the marketing, advertising budget, but more of it will be spent more on the creating the community budget. So, but the ballpark figure, it really varies, but from my experience with other like internet product or a client product, somewhere between $1 to $2 million is good. $2 million is actually a good start, yes, to get a good eyeballs, yeah.
Can you expand on that with the Point Blank? Did they actually? That's a free-to-play game, right?
It's a free-to-play game. They top up and they buy accessories, guns, everything. So to make your player better, and they team up and they play against each other. It's almost like Counter-Strike with the monetization.
They replace Counter-Strike in the internet cafe.
Yeah, they kind of replace Counter-Strike nowadays. If you get into the internet cafe, then everybody's playing Point Blank, like I said.
So did they cut people in? Did they cut the internet cafes in for a percentage of revenues?
I think they got a cut out. I don't know. I don't think they got a cut in terms of the Point Blank, but for the sales of the top-up card, if they resell it.
Okay,
if
so
the
they're
cafe resell, yeah, if they resell, yeah, exactly. If they resell it,
they're instead of having to pay a huge licensing fee to get Counter-Strike legally, they're basically getting cut in on the revenue?
Well, Laito, I think, well, he can add. He's from our payment system, so he could explain much better.
I think it's really important.
Right. Okay, what happened with the point blank and the cyber cafes is that actually the cyber cafes in Indonesia, right? In Indonesia, majority of the people in Indonesia doesn't have a good quality PCs. So majority of the people still goes to the cyber cafes to play the games.
Play the game, yeah.
Right? The cyber cafes charge the rental of the PCs per hour, ranging about 20,000. I mean, 20,000 to 5,000. No,
Yeah.
2,000 to 5,000
Yeah.
rupiah, which about close to 20 cents to 50 cents US dollar, right? So the people play the games in the cyber cafes itself. Now the cyber cafes in turn actually sells the game cards, which they get a cut ranging from about 6 to 12% of the sales of the card. This goes into the revenues as well, right? What happens like point blank actually is only success is in Indonesia, right? It beats like Counter-Strikes and even like what other FPS game it is because of the first entry to the market, right? The cost is very low, but because and practically they don't do a lot of marketing as well, right? So pertaining to your questions, how much marketing budget actually you need to spend in Indonesia varies. You see, point blank practically doesn't spend anything.
They do put ads on magazines.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, ads on game magazines.
So comparing to the marketing budgets, ads in the magazine cost about 10,000 US dollars like that, which is not expensive. But why it can be successful is the first entry to the market, and also it caters to the like of the populations.
I mean, you enter internet cafe and everybody's playing that. You know, if you don't play that, it's a multiplayer game. Then what are you going to play, right? Counter-Strike was like that, but Counter-Strike somewhat, I don't know, it just dies down and it's replaced by point blank now. Yeah. Some new FPS coming up, as you see, I showed on the slides, and some other new ones are coming out, challengers so-called, which they think will be better than point blank. So, but it's yet to be seen. Yes, please.
So you said that iOS is not popular.
It is not. It's not about not popular, but it's the price factor. Obviously, you know, iPhone will cost more than Android phones. So iOS, it's gaining popularity, but it's more towards the higher economic bracket. It's gaining popularity because the telcos, they realize it and start selling in bundles with, you know, contracts and everything. So it started to gain attention. But Android, because of the multiple devices, lower price factor, the entry point is much faster compared to the iOS. But as usual, from our experience, if you build something on Android, especially in Indonesia, the only monetization capability will be on advertising. You know, most Android users will like to download for free and play for free compared to iOS players or users who actually purchase or in apps or, you know, even purchase downloads. So that's the thing. So it's really comparison between you want quantity, you know, which you can monetize later, or you want the quality but people just buy. Yeah. Tablets is, yeah, tablets including, I mean, Android tablets, like I said, is big. iPad iOS is not that big. Really, it might, if you're in big cities, it might show us like everybody's like carrying a tablet, iPad. But if you go to other people, a lot of people are using Galaxy Tab and Galaxy Note, you know. So Android is I think Android have a stronger traction in Indonesia. Yeah.
Did you have any data in terms of the revenue associated with Android? Because I know that's been a problem globally.
No, actually, I don't have any data. What we know, and based on our you know, discussions with the people, is actually, like I said, in Android it's really hard to make. Even in mobile, again, because of advertising background, if you want to do mobile advertising, the monetization is so small. Because nobody click on it. The model on mobile advertising is, you know, you have to click, right? Click, pay per click. So nobody really click on the advertising, so it's not really making much money. So, you know, there's not much monetization on Android, I think. Yeah, but I don't know the exact numbers.
Well, thank you. Appreciate everybody.
Yes.
And there's lunch.
Lunch? Yeah, you
in
want to have
the,
a lunch?
there's 2 different sessions you can listen to as you eat lunch, so in the other rooms. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.